All right, welcome back to the Canadian Gun Vault behind the vault door. My name is Mark Morelli. I'll be your podcast host. Oh yeah, we got a nice cup of apple cider. I've got full batteries on my recorder, and I think I'm about to be evicted from my kitchen studio very shortly. I'm gonna have to move to another location in the house. It's there's just too much going on here to maintain a studio in the kitchen. But I love doing these podcasts, and if you think there's something terrifically special to them, there is. I get to do them in the comfort of my own home, and I get the chance to talk to you guys, and that's probably the defining feature of what's happened to my life since I started doing this. And I love talking to people. You know what? It's that's my thing. I love discussing things like firearms with members of the firearm community. And man, I could sit and I could talk for hours. And you get me going, and I might not stop. I could become one of those guys. And speaking of which, I met a guy tonight that I just like. I got to tell you, I got so much respect. There he is, shooting pistols and rifles at one of our favorite local indoor ranges to attend, Urban Tactical. I'm in this place, and I love going there. The people there are very friendly with me, and I've always enjoyed watching the buzz, especially on the weekends. If you folks can get yourselves out there, maybe try one of their packages. They run rental packages out of this location in Brantford. Great people, and and I'm there. I heading over to the Alpha Range, and I meet a gentleman by the name of Phil. Great guy, right off the hop, great guy, and so very generous with compliments too. Damn near, Phil, you made me almost blush. What a great experience meeting this man, who is every bit as engaged in the shooting activities as anyone I've ever seen. He's got his gear on, and he's shooting, and he's enjoying himself, and you can really tell. And I'm thinking to myself, holy cow. What again, a person I've never met before. Fantastic personality and an incredible man, and what a great guy to listen to. And, and he admits to me, after we spend, a few hours together, on the firing line, and we discuss some things, he admits to me at one point that the firing range is the one place he can come where he forgets he's in a wheelchair. And to hear those words leave his lips, really, it shook me a bit. And I may have neglected to mention that he's in a motorized wheelchair, and he's enjoying, shooting rifles and pistols from his wheelchair. And, he's having a great time. He's relaxed, and constantly smiling. And I'm thinking, and he's shooting what the anti-gun community would typically call, tactical or assault type firearms. He likes those. I do too. I shoot a lot of vintage guns, but I really love tactical guns, and I got a real affection for tactical guns. And this gentleman obviously did too, and he had a great time out there. And once he admits to me that, the firing range is the one place he can come and forget that he has, a major disability. And, and that's the way he describes it. It's an incredible thing that you can take a man in a wheelchair, who doesn't have the use of his legs, to lose so much and to find enjoyment in this thing, the same thing I do, and so many other Canadians are finding, they do. Isn't that fantastic? That can, liberate a man's spirit to the point where he's able to forget something like that. You think you got problems, until you stack yourself against a guy that doesn't have the use of his legs. I mean, that's a hard day, I'll bet. You know, getting in and out of bed, you know, getting showered, taking care of yourself. You know, a well-kept man. And, you know, that's got to be a lot of work. And yet he comes to the firing range to relax. You know, he's enjoying assault-type firearms. And to think that anybody would deprive him of what he enjoys simply because they don't understand it is really appalling to me in a civilized society that's supposed to be intelligent. We have a government in power that insists that they're being transparent, and yet we don't seem to know what it is that they have planned for gun owners. I can tell you that it's a large, fast-growing group of well-educated people. And, you know, they're not falling for some of the same tricks. And I think that they see us getting organized. So, you know, that being said, you know, I would hate to see this man deprived of this thing he enjoys. You know, so I like the idea of people discussing what we do here at the Canadian Gun Vault. I'd love them looking at the Instagram page, the YouTube videos that we do. Got some really exciting stuff coming up. Got to thank everybody that makes these things possible. Definitely check out the Canadian Historical Arms Museum on Instagram. You know, great girl runs that page, Danielle. They're taking some, you know, great pictures. You know, I definitely want to get over there at some point and discuss some of the photography with them. But they're doing some fantastic things for the firearm community. So I know I've plugged them a couple of times on my page, and I know that I've, you know, made mention that it's kind of important. So if you haven't already followed the Canadian Historical Arms Museum, I would ask that you do so. And I would ask that everybody you know be told that there are some incredible people that are doing what they can to preserve Canadian history. And, you know, put them onto that page and let them read, you know, a little bit about the firearms. They really do a great job. I know they're just starting out, and there's like a ton of room for improvement, and that's just me being a little bit critical perhaps, but you know, I know they're going to do great things for the firearm community. I'm sure the page is going to come along fabulously. You're already doing a great job. Anyway, let's see, what else did I have on the go today? You know, I mean, got a couple of people out shooting, you know, that were contest winners. And, you know, there were some hiccups with some of the firearms. And I mean, it's kind of a misconception that firearms always work. They don't always work. You know, I've seen guns that should work not work. I've seen, you know, guns that they shouldn't work, they do work. If you hang around vintage firearms long enough, you'll find that some of the oldest firearms can be the most finicky. But wow, like a lot of them still work very well. There's the big argument that they don't make them like they used to. So for the people out there that have been watching us on Instagram and Facebook, definitely keep a lookout on our CGV relocation plan. Love putting those families together with the people that are interested in their firearms. You know, for the people that you know, are shopping. You know, if you know a buddy that's always looking to buy something, and he seems to be the guy that's doing it, definitely put him onto the page. You might come across some things he likes. The families aren't asking for an arm and a leg, but they do, you know, want to receive their value. So I give an honest assessment of the firearms, and I try and make, you know, an agreement that is amicable, you know, for both parties. Something they can kind of get down with, and if they can agree to it, I just like putting people together. So the CGV relocation plan is definitely something you guys should look at. If you're looking to get another firearm added to your collection, you know, if it's that time, you know, if, you know, a month's gone by and you haven't bought anything yet, definitely take a look at that. You know, spread that around a little bit, because I like the idea of, you know, doing this for the families. Remember, when you pass away, folks, you're going to be leaving your firearms to some people. Hopefully they'll get you good value, right, for the things that you enjoyed and loved. And or use them themselves. You know, sometimes I manage to switch some of the families on to getting their licenses and actually using the firearms. It's always nice when I get to know the people involved, and if they can kind of share with me a little bit about the deceased. I love doing that on the page. You know, to know that you know, this last gentleman that I've been dealing with, you know, was such a huge member of the firearm community, and, you know, like a fixture. If you know that guy that's always there that you really like, apparently this was the guy. You know, and he had some really fantastic pieces, and there's still some left. If you're looking for a favorite vintage 22 target pistol, this guy was like, he was king. He obviously liked his 22s. You know, the way I see it, this guy might be like Gas Rider in like 30 years. the Reloading King slash, only held on to some, really choice pieces, and they'll make any collector happy. So definitely keep a lookout for the CGV relocation plan. I understand that the CCFR is paired up with Wild TV, and I've seen that. I'm really happy to see that. That there'll be somebody taking the initiative on that front. Definitely, we need television. I think we should cover that base. Some people argue nobody's watching television anymore, that it's all internet-based now. But it can't be something that wouldn't be helpful. And I mean, hell, it could even explode. Wouldn't that be fantastic? I wish that for them. If I remember correctly, I read one of the postings. That it's the CCFR's TV show, and that's fantastic. And Wild TV's, I guess, producing it. And they're going to showcase the different shooting disciplines here in Canada, and the various facets of competition and other things, hunting and whatnot. If they can showcase the Canadian firearm community and reach a big audience, like, all the power to them. I'm very excited to hear that. Who knows? Maybe I'll even become part of it at some point if they invite me to. Love to work in partnership with the CCFR and perhaps try and correct some of the wrongs that we've been suffering through over the last 20 years. I don't know. I'll wait for their call. I'm definitely not going to, want to step on any toes. So I'll wait for them to contact me. So I know some of you have asked for that to happen. We'll let things happen naturally. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of the Canadian Gun Vault Behind the Vault Door. It's supposed to be getting a little chilly this week. Make sure to grab your winter clothes, folks. And as always, Canada, shoot straight, stay safe.